It was the explosion, smoke, fire, and the occasional sound of bullets exploding that led these locals to Ngong Hills. What they saw upon reaching the scene shook them to the core: a burning plane and 6 burning bodies. The few who made it here by the time the helicopter crashed at 8:30 a.m. did all they could to put out the sporadic fires. But they were too late to save anyone or anything. It was only an hour later that speculations began to surface, suggesting that those killed in the crash were senior government officials. It eventually emerged that indeed those killed were Internal Security Minister George Saitoti, his assistant Orwa Ojode, Saitoti's 2 bodyguards, Sergeant Thomas Murimi and Inspector Joshua Tongai, as well as 2 pilots, Captain Lucy Gatwanja and Captain Luke Oyugi. The bodies of the 2 pilots were recovered next to the helicopter's engine, now completely destroyed by fire. The 2 bodyguards were only a few feet behind the pilots and one still strapped in the seat. The assistant minister was thrown at least 10 feet from the scene, while Saitoti's body was thrown another 10 feet away from the crash scene. All bodies were severely burnt, that of the 2 pilots and bodyguards barely recognizable. However, some pieces of clothing remained on the minister's body, and perhaps this is how officials could confirm his tragic death. Even Saitoti's political rival, Ole Sakuda, who was at the scene, struggled to contain his emotions. Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, who was one of the first government officials at the scene, was overwhelmed by the turn of events.
Kusema kweli ni tukio ambalo haliwezi kuaminika. Linavunja moyo sana. Na tunasema pole.
I've been informed that investigations are already underway. 6 bodies have been recovered, or they remain, and these bodies will be transported to the funeral home where the identification process will take place.
Preliminary reports suggest the crash was caused by bad weather. Reports are now emerging that the pilot who was flying the helicopter, Lucy Gatwanja, apparently called the control tower at Wilson Airport from Ngong, asking for permission to return to Wilson. Unfortunately, moments after that call, flight control officials lost communication with the pilot. Other pilots who departed from Wilson Airport said they had to delay their journey to their destinations for close to up to 1 hour because of bad weather. The helicopter was meant to stop in Kericho en route to Oyugis in South Nyanza, where the 2 ministers were to attend a fundraiser. After the news of the minister's death began to spread across the country, those who could access Ngong Hills came in droves. Police had a hard time controlling the crowds that were even ready to risk their lives and climb trees just to get a peek and confirm the tragic news filtering in.
Personally, I've lost a colleague, 2 colleagues very close to me in the security sector, because, you know, as an assistant minister for defense, we do coordinate serious national security issues. So, and these are fine people in that sector, and I feel very, my heart is very heavy. So I just want to say pole kwa wananchi wa Kenya.
The chopper was bought on January from France and was, according to the head of civil service, Francis Kimemia, new. Incidentally, this tragedy falls on the anniversary of Lorna, Labosso and Kipkalya, Kones, who also died in a tragedy such as this. The country has lost 6 people, 2 bodyguards, 2 pilots and 2 cabinet ministers. Catherine Omwando, KTN and Ngong Hills.